Hello and welcome to the Reds Report, Barnsley FC's longest running podcast. Proud to be part of the TalkSport Fans Network. 25th of January, storms have been hammering the United Kingdom over the past couple of days, but Barnsley seem to have weathered the storm on the pitch. To discuss a postponement, a match in dreadful conditions, transfer window and everything else is the man that didn't go on holiday this year, or this half term or this week. Ian is with us as always. Ian, how you doing?
Very well. The house is still intact after the storm jostling, which I must admit I thought was going to take off at one point the other night, but we're all here and we're all safe.
Oh, that's all that matters. Steve is joining us. He flew back from Spain yesterday, obviously still in European time, and I heard he's just been into Lidl trying to pay with euro. So until he gets that sorted, he will be joining us a little bit later on. Ian, there is, I know there's only been one match, but there's sort of quite a bit to discuss. Let's first of all talk about our love for the EFL, the referees, in regards to the postponement at Stevenage. Now, to me, if at 11 o'clock the pitch is not great and you look at the weather conditions, you know away fans need to be making a 3-hour or a 3-and-a-bit-hour journey. What stops a referee from saying, it's not good now, I can't see it improving, I'm calling it off, rather than, I'll try again in a couple of hours? It's madness, isn't it?
It is. You've got to ask yourself, what did he think was going to dramatically change in that 2-hour window? Bearing in mind, we are in December, and even if we had some sort of sunshine down at Stevenage that he thought might melt the pitch, it's not going to have any great effect, is it? We're not in the summer where it suddenly can heat up in an hour. You're in January. What's 2 hours going to change? It's the weather system was not going to change dramatically for him to think, in 2 hours it should have thawed out. So that's ridiculous for a start. There was a lot of clubs throughout the leagues that cancelled games on the Friday well in advance. So they must have seen the pitch, looked at the forecast and said, well, it's not going to improve. Let's call it off now. This came up, is it nearly 12 months ago since the debacle at Exeter? And this come up last time. Why don't the EFL look at, if there's games where they need a pitch inspection, do they not use a local referee who lives close by, who can come and make that decision? If the match referee's coming from 150, 250 miles away, can a local one not get there for 8 a.m., let's say, argument's sake, or 9 o'clock? Neil Collins was fuming and thought it was playable and would take a stud. And it wasn't like all the pitch, it was only a section of the pitch. But once again, the referee, nobody comes out, do they, and has to answer for their actions. So they can't come out and give a reasoned argument. But for me, you must know whether they've got undersoil heating. You must know whether the weather can... we know, we've got weather apps now. We know exactly what's going to happen every 5 minutes with the weather. And I just don't get this 2-hour window. What was going to change so dramatically? And it was just a farce. By about 1:20, he calls it off. Well, it's not good enough.
No, local MP Dan Jarvis wrote a letter to Rick Parry asking to consider a postponement promise, in which he says that if a game is postponed, it is done before the travelling time of away fans. So if Barnsley fans had a 3-hour journey, for instance, to go there, can we then call it off at most 3 hours before, so people don't set up? I mean, people pay good money to go on a bus, and it's not just that. You go on a bus, you might stop somewhere, have some food, then there's the ticket to get in. It's a full day, hard-earned money, because somebody decided, we'll have an extra couple of hours. I mean, football and politics don't always mix very well. And again, it's a personal opinion. I just think what Dan Jarvis did, I think is good. He talked about football is a game for the fans, and those decisions are not in any fans' benefit. Something you think that maybe should be echoed or copied elsewhere? Because who is the EFL going to listen
to? Nobody. They'll stand there with their fingers in their ears. I think it was a nice gesture from the MP. I mean, ultimately, it was well written, a lot of valid points. I think ultimately that's what our MPs are there for. They're there to speak for us on our behalf. And that's what he's done. Yes, I think it'll probably ultimately fall on deaf ears, but I think fair play for doing it. And like they say, like he said within the letter, it's all very good waxing lyrical about footballs for the fans and all this kind of rubbish. we know it doesn't. It's all just a bit of skirt. It's nothing, is it? They've got no substance behind it. They can wax lyrical about it being for the fans, but when they make decisions like that, clearly it's not the case, is it?
And the thing is as well, isn't it? Like in I suppose from a Barnsley point of view, it's a Saturday match at Stevenage. We sold quite a few tickets. This will now be replayed likely on a Tuesday night. Some people will be looking for the money back. Some people won't get the money back if they make their own way in a car. And we know how Barnsley play away on a Saturday afternoon with a decent backing. But hey, I might as well continue on to the next one. He has joined us, by the way. He is back in Barnsley. He's changed his euros back into pounds.
Yeah, is he eating paella?
Paella.
Hey? Paella.
I don't know what it is.
Paella.
It's what we got left in fridge. So I've just thrown it in a pan like lightning because I was starving.
It's not the dog food that Jackie left it, is it? The raw mince.
It could be. A bit of tripe in it anyway. Evening, boys. Are we well?
Evening, yeah. All very
Very
good.
well.
Excellent. Not as well as me, but anyway, crack on.
Well, while Steve was having his and a mud bath, Tuesday night then, Ian, and I'll be honest, I feared the worst because, you know, you see it on our follow one Oxford behind one goal. There is no stand. So the wind was sweeping through, the rain. I think you have to, in this case, separate the performance and the result, because the performance under the circumstances with the, you know, everything that the weather threw at him. I mean, what a result that was. And I'll be honest, if you now look, you think it's in November, the last time we lost a match. That's some run that Neil Collins has got his Barnsley on. And if you're talking about a 6-pointer, you know, we were level on points starting the game. What a result for Barnsley to steal, if you can call it that, 3 points at Oxford away on a Tuesday night. It was,
I think, it was the typical 6-pointer on it. We've won there last couple of years now, but it's never easy. You do separate the result from the performance with that weather conditions and the injuries as well throughout the game. You take the 3 points and you get on quick, don't you? And you move on, and it makes our position within the top 6, so to speak, quite healthy now with a bit of a cushion. So yeah, I wouldn't dwell too much on the performance. Yeah, you could pick holes in a number of performances, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. You'd have probably took a point, but yeah, we'll take all 3, and it's great confidence in it into the next game.
Yeah, we will pick a few people out. First of all, if you look at Shepherd, I mean, he had a bit of a nightmare last time out, and you know, he wasn't the only one during that match. But the commentary team was right on that. You know, he's come from I don't know how many leagues below. He's looking for partnership with people to help him out now and then. Not a supreme polished performance, but he was a lot better, wasn't he? And some of those key decisions, you know, sometimes you hold your hand in your mouth, think, oh my God, what's going to happen? But he seemed to get him. He seemed to get him right. What were your thoughts on Shepherd?
Well, he's a lucky charm because I don't think we've lost when he's played. I saw that stat banded around. Look, yeah, it's a big step up for him as a young lad, but I see something in him, and I've said on previous podcasts I do like the look of him. That doesn't mean he's going to be 8 and 9 out of 10 every week. He probably needs a settled run in the side, but I think there's a player in there, and I think it's worth the perseverance. But yeah, they're all going to have. We'll touch on this because we talked about it before you press record. But there are players there that have been at the club a damn sight longer who are putting 3 and 4s out of 10 regularly in. Let's not lambast a young lad who's at the start of it, you know, who's bedding in and who could actually have a good career ahead of him.
Donovan Pine's clearance and visa has now come through. Now, it said he can now start training. I don't know if there's any rule, but I thought he might have been training anyway to get match fit whilst his visa were being sorted. John Russell, because Connell was out injured, it sounds like it was a bit of a bug and nothing major, and Connell might well feature again on Saturday when we're at home against Exeter. I mean, my honest opinions on John Russell was I think he did his job better than what we've seen him do. But he is just not mobile enough for that defensive. He can stop the attack, but he can't always sort of play it out or go past somebody. But But given the situations and the conditions, a half-decent performance, wasn't it, from Russell?
Yeah, I know Collins come out afterwards and was full of praise for him, and he's got he's got a fair point. If the lad's rolling his sleeves up in training and he's trying to prove to his boss, look, I won a game, then fair play to him. He could just sulk in training and just sit on the bench. But so that's a positive. You're absolutely spot on. For the size of him, he can break up the play. But for me, and I was talking to a lad at work who's a Bolton fan, we were kind of looking ahead towards the game in a week or so's time. And I would love Connell to be in that. That Connell will make such a difference in that midfield at Bolton. Whereas if he's not in there and Russell is, I would fear a little bit more for us. And that's the difference. Connell gives us so much more. He gives us the sweat on the shirt. He rallies round. He puts himself about. He stops their attacks, but he can also go forward or start attacks. And Russell, he just turns like a ship, doesn't he? Bless him. So yeah, and he's been last season. There were flashes where he was just starting to get a little bit of form, and then he seems to have took a few steps back again. And he's not a first teamer for me at the minute.
No, it is a bit of a worry though, isn't it? Because I know, Steve, you were abroad, but Kane went off injured, Phillips went off injured. If worst case scenario, let's say Phillips is out on Saturday, Kane's out on Saturday, Connell's out on Saturday, we're running a little bit short in that central midfield area then, aren't we?
Bring your boots, Steve.
I'll get your boots out. Yeah, why not? I've got to be honest, on Tuesday night, I did see a little bit at game. Admittedly, it was through a bottle of Rioja and the other side at bar.
Oh, we played like that.
They were kind enough to put it on for me, which were really funny. So I did see bits. I'm not going to comment on it because the bits I did see probably are looking like that, or maybe look anyway. Beside the point. Saturday midfield wise, wow. Are you going to see the likes of? I mean, I don't know. Is Benson? I'm assuming Benson's still injured. Obviously, Matthew Wolfe is. You've only really got Russell. Then you're looking at your likes of Theo Chapman, Yanganathan. Them sort of players, are they going to have to come in, drop McAtee back into midfield, and then do you play Cosgrove up front with Cole, or we are down to as bare bones. But I must admit, I would rather see young guys come in than perhaps the likes of Benson and such like. Just for the simple reason, the last time they played, they actually put some effort in and looked as though they wanted to play for the shirt. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Kane, Colin and Phillips are out on Saturday. I won't even know. I won't even know what midfield he's going to pick.
I mean, latest news is, and this was from the post-match conference with Collins with the BBC, that he thinks they're all just minor little knocks and it was more a safety thing of, right, let's not make it any worse. But it's something I suppose to keep an eye on. And like you said earlier, Connell is key, isn't it, for us to not only stop them attacking going forward as well. I suppose one department we haven't got a problem in is forwards, isn't it? McAtee, Cole, Cosgrove, Watters, Jallow, Marsh, Dallas, Shaw. That's our strike force. Now, we know Dallas has joined Oldham until the end of the season. Ollie Shaw coming back after a stint in Scotland, I believe. I mean, Ian, we had a lot of players leave in the summer. We brought quite a few of these in. Dallas was brought in, Shaw was brought in, Watters was brought in. What do we make of Ollie Shaw? Because to get loaned out would signify he's probably in the pecking order well below McAtee, Cole, Cosgrove, Watters, everybody else. He didn't really get that much. Did he get much game time up in Scotland? But apparently he's back in the squad. Does that mean Collins might have seen something in it, or does it maybe mean that one of our strikers that we've got is going out? How do we read this? Because in January you always have like a second look, don't you? Is there like an alternative motive?
Yeah, I've not heard that he's been tearing up the Scottish League. And a lot of loans this time of year, they do recall them, like Dodgson obviously has gone to Dundee. Burnley have said he's not playing enough. A bit like what we've done with Dallas, he's not playing enough. sending to Oldham, and hopefully he'll play to the end of the season and come back in the summer. So I don't know with Shaw. It's going to be interesting, but like I said earlier, there was a tweet I saw that somebody had rightly made a good point, actually, that when you look at, I mean, McAtee's head and shoulders above that list, but when you look at, and I know Dallas we haven't really seen enough of, but you look at all those other players, Waters, Cosgrove, about 6 strikers we've got or something. Instead of spending on 6 players, I know some of them might have been free, but we might have paid agents' fees for 6 times 6 or whatever, or times 4 or 5, signing on fees potentially. We've probably spent the same amount of money that we would have done on a really top quality League One striker that is proven to get 20 odd goals in this division. So this experiment of buying some of these players, I don't think has worked yet. Certainly not with Waters, Cosgrove, and Ollie Shaw. 3 of them, it definitely hasn't worked. So you've got to be careful with your. I know Barnsley will look and say, we can't really afford that striker because he's 1.5 million or 2 million, but you could end up spending silly money and 5 times wages on players that are being loaned out here, there, and everywhere.
Works double ways as well, though, doesn't it, Steve? Because we're going to talk. Well, might as well do it. We're going to talk about Callum Styles, who's got apparently like a 2.5 million price tag. Like
2.5 quid.
2 seasons ago.
That's more like it. Yeah.
2 seasons ago, you looked at him and you thought, "Oh, that's a future star." You know, he was part of that spine that we needed. Last season, out at Millwall. Okay, he had a 3-month injury, but obviously didn't pull any trees up. I think he scored 1 goal. I think it was or something. He didn't do that much. Came back in the fold this season. Is it his headspace, do you think? I know he wants to keep his shirt in the Hungarian, in the national team, and so we should. I just feel that every time I see him, Steve, it's a little bit like his head's just not in it. I don't want to get injured. I'm not really happy here. That's how it feels to me, and it could be completely wrong. What's your observations on Callum Styles, and is he worth 2.5 million?
We watched friendly at Oakwell at the beginning of the season, and Styles played middle of midfield and ran show, and we all said, wow, if he plays like this season, he'll get his move, no doubt, probably even get more money for him, and he'll be able to push on to bigger and better things. Obviously, he's not read that memo because he's being garbage. To be honest, as well, I can't say I've really seen any flashes of brilliance. There's nothing springs to mind anyway. And for somebody who's wanting to keep his international place and is wanting to move up to a bigger club, anybody looking at him, I mean, I'll be quite honest. If Sunderland take him on loan and then give us money at end of season or for however they're going to do it, fantastic, crack on, let him go. But I just don't see any 2 million, £2.5 million value in Callum Styles at all. I would even say, wash my mouth out, that Herbie Kane's played better than him this season. And he has. You'd think that his mentality would be, I want to play, I want to prove myself, I want to get in this side. He's got the makings of being best player on park for us. Him and McAtee, you'd think, would be ripping First Division apart. McAtee's trying, he can't do it on his own. Callum Styles looks a shadow of what he could have been. So if he goes, wish him well, as you do. Fantastic, let's get some coin in, whatever we can for him. But if I was Sunderland, I'd be having a word with Chief Scout and saying, have you been a Specsavers?
Yeah. Well, the latest is that Michael Beale, the manager, is keen to bolster Sunderland's squad, particularly at left back, but Barnsley's Callum Styles may not be the man to fill that void. So now he has been linked with Hull City and Birmingham City as well. But the Sunderland rumour, Ian, that was the prevalent one, wasn't it? That was the one everybody was talking about. But as it stands now, it looks like it might not be Callum Styles. Wouldn't it, if he's fit? And I mean, Steve already gave the answer. In fairness, if Connell is not fit, would you not claim there? Is he better further up the pitch? Do you think?
Yeah, just a quick side note on Ollie Shaw. I've just looked at his stats. So he's played 16 games in Scotland and got 2 assists and not scored any. So he's not exactly been ripping up football in Scotland. In terms of Styles, yeah, I think if he's not gone or going by Saturday and he's in the squad, then he's got to play any with these. I would tend to potentially maybe wrap some of them up in a little cotton wool. I think a home game against Exeter in preparation for Bolton away, and place maybe Styles centrally. We talked off air, and I just think his attitude. You talk about Mads Anderson and Liam Kitchen. To be fair, last season Anderson knew he was going at the end of the season, and Kitchen knew there was interest well through the season, but they still give everything in a Barnsley shirt. Styles, like we said, should be ripping up this league. Him and Cole and McAtee should be head and shoulders above everybody in the division, but certainly at the club. And he's barely shone at all, and as all like he's just meandering through games. And surely he's going to want to. Is it not in his best interest to, play his best football? More clubs then become interested. He's definitely nailed on them for a move in January. At the minute, if I'd have been scouting him, I'd have been reporting back, going, "What do people see in him?" He should have been running the game in this division, and I just think it's poor on his part that hasn't really shown the effort that he can, because he's clearly on his day can be quite a skillful player and probably can play at this above this level, but I just think. He's played like he just doesn't want to be here. But why is he not? Some players that I've mentioned crack on and really work hard. Why is he not really try to engineer a move by playing his best football? And then he could have gone in January with our best wishes and gone, "Cheers, Callum, you've ripped up League One for us. We know we can't keep you, but you did everything you could in a red shirt." But he's done next to now.
It's weird because I think when I look back. I think his best games was the season before he moved to Millwall. And actually, when you see him playing in the national team for Hungary, he looks like that midfield dynamo that unlocks a player by putting a pass in, seeing those spaces. Steve, we are getting towards the end of the window. What needs to happen?
Buy somebody, for Christ's sake. Please, buy somebody.
We've not lost since November, though. So where are we going to strengthen? What needs to happen?
You see, I'd get shot down again. Yeah, we've not lost since November, but let's be honest now. Collins is doing a fantastic job. We're a rubbish side. Some performances of some of these players, it amazes me that we're in position that we are. And we've watched matches where we've been shocking, but the team we've been playing have been worse, and we've come away with 3 points. And, people can say, yeah, we're there. We're in fifth. Fantastic. We've got a chance of going up. I'd love for us to go up. Of course I would. But how much money are we going to have to spend in summer to get a championship-ready side? And it's no good people saying, well, we've got players there that can play in championship. They're not playing in first division. Do you know what I mean? So is that because of motivation? I've no idea. For me, I still say we need a midfielder. I'd love for him to sign McAtee. I don't think they will, because the season he's having, unless we do go up, why would he stay with us? Do you know what I mean? There's no loyalty when there's pound notes involved. And any championships team watching this season will see him play and think, well, if he's not stopping there and he's going back to Luton, we're in for him, because he could quite easily play in championship. Yeah. So for me, 1, if not 2, midfielders definitely, because that is the area I think that 5th position, forget about. That's the area that we're look weakest in.
It's weird as well, isn't it? Because if you go up to the championship, it's such a different league. As in, you've got 3 teams that have got millions behind them for the next 3 years because of parachute payments. So It's not an even playing field being in the Championship. There's almost 2 little leagues. Those that have come out of the Premier League in the last 2 or 3 seasons, and the rest. But yeah, I mean, we talked about the record, Ian. In the last 6 matches we've played, 4 wins, 2 draws, and that's Wigan at home, 1-1, Peter away. I mean, you know, where would you like to see any improvements, or are we capable, actually? Is there more of a unity on the pitch that actually, if nobody leaves and nobody comes in, we should be good enough to compete for those either? Are you looking automatic? Are you looking players? But we should be looking to take part after the last match of the season, either in the playoffs or automatic.
I think we'd all like to see the team go through the gears a bit and speed up a bit and play some decent football. But it's a results business. Like Steve says, he's spot on that we are where we are, and it is a good place to be. We're in the mix. We're right in the mix for the automatic. I know that can change, in a moment's breath, but we're in a good position. But if anybody from another club come and ask any of you guys, I know the answer would be the same. If they ask like, "Well, Barnsley are doing well," blah blah, tell us, what we're going to expect on Saturday, you'd be like, "Well, it's not been great. It's either not been great to watch, or we've stuttered in games." So the playing side, I'd like to see us try and go through the gears and play some nice football. Yes, it's a results-driven business. But yeah, it's been a funny season. That credit to Collins that he's been able to get some results out of this team. But it's a bit painful to watch sometimes, isn't it? And I know where Oxford was the conditions and stuff, but there's been games where you've like, we're not playing the football that I think these players are capable of.
No. Exeter is up next. Exeter, we're at home on Saturday. Exeter. So they've won 8, drew 6, lost 14. Goal difference of -20. And if you compare that with the Reds, won 15, drew 7, lost 5. Goal difference of +21. But I remember, it was either last season or the season before, within 10 minutes, I think we were 2-0 down against Exeter. That was a very physical side. And the football might have not been great, but they were very, very effective in nullifying whatever we offered. I suppose, and I know I ask this every week, but knowing what we know about Exeter, Steve, they are a physical side. They like the physical. Does Collins make changes? Are you now looking at maybe Lopata and freeing up Williams at the back? If Pines is fit, is it too early to throw him in and say, because he's been here? Well,
I think it'd be too early for Pines. I don't think he's anywhere near ready. I still don't understand why Williams is still playing in that right centre half role. I've no idea why he's still there. It just beggars belief for me. If there's one thing that puts me off Collins, it's the fact that he's sticking with him, not only as captain, but as that right-sided centre half, when we know how Lopata plays and how Lopata can play. That position's nailed on for me, for Lopata. And push Williams out to right wing back, which is his best position. We know it is. I think, depending on your midfield, if they're all fit, it'll probably be the same side. To be quite honest, why change a winning team as such? But Exeter's just one of them sides, isn't it? You know what I mean? And they will come. They will be physical. And if you get your players, I suppose, again, being cynical, if you get your players like Kane or Phillips or whatever, who don't fancy that fight and don't fancy sticking a foot in and don't want to, like Styles does, don't actually want to get up and stand up for Barnsley, we could quite easily get steamrolled. And the fact that, you hear about teams, you hear about managers, I've studied this team we're playing on Saturday, I've watched last 3 or 4 of their games, and I've done all sorts to get that, that idea, that understanding of how they play. We've been watching Barnsley all season. You tell me what style we play. You tell me because I ain't got a clue. I ain't got a clue most of the time, especially on Tuesday night after that bottle of Rio. Anyway, that's another story. But I haven't got a clue what our style is. So any manager watching us must be scratching their head, because even I don't know what I'm going to get on Saturday.
Yeah, and it's weird. They won on Tuesday night, Exeter away at Bristol Rovers. I know stats don't say that much, but they had 39% possession, 10 shots, 4 on target, 1 off target. Half the amount of passes almost that Bristol Rovers did. They had no clear-cut chances, 7 corners. Very much Bristol Rovers had all the possession and then lost 1-0. And that's a typical thing that could happen to us, isn't it, Ian? Because the home form has been, can't say, but the results at home have improved. Is this not? I would have thought the club would have got like bring your scarf day, because I think looking how we've previously played against those sorts of teams, and we need an Oakwell that's bouncing and singing from minute 1, isn't it, to be that 12th man, injuries or not, to try and get that result. Because this again, we're now going into the final third of the season, I suppose, almost, isn't it? We need to just really, really push, and any trick in the book needs to be brought to Oakwell on Saturday to try and get 3 points.
Yes, I just looked then. I think, you said it with the stats, was it minus 20 goal difference or something? In the last 8 games, they've only scored 6 goals. They are lower down in the league. On paper, you'd say it's a home win, but football's not played on paper, is it? So it's got the hallmarks for another Wigan. Another drop 2 points potentially if we're not careful. What you want to do is, I looked at our fixtures after the Bolton game, and they're quite favourable again for a few before we play Derby at home. So you'd be looking at cap off what was a great victory at Oxford with another home victory against Exeter, because the Bolton game will be a tough one, and you can probably afford to draw there or something. But what the danger is that we take our eye off Exeter, we drop points there, and then you're under pressure when you go to Bolton. It's a dangerous tie, but we should be good enough. But again, like we said, we don't know what the side's going to be yet.
Well, yeah. So, given everything we know and don't know, then, Steve, Barnsley at home, Exeter, 3:00 kickoff, 27th of January. Full-time result and first Barnsley goal scorer, please, sir.
3-0 to Exeter. Do you know what? This predicting lark now, it's beyond a joke. Honestly, I haven't got a fucking clue. I really haven't, because like you say, you don't know what team's going to put out. It's all right saying we want 12th man in stands and what have you, but again, you're back to, if it's shite on pitch, you're not going to stand up and clap. I'm sorry, but you're not. You can have as many drums and vuvuzelas and topless bloody cheerleaders or whatever you want.
Bit cold for that.
Well, I don't know. It's somewhere to hang your hat, though, isn't it? Think about that one. But we need some quality on pitch, and we say every week they need to step up. And if they do, and that team turns up, we'll beat Exeter, and I think we'll beat Exeter. I'd like to say quite easily. So I am going to go 3-0 to us, and I'm going to say your first goal scorer will be McAtee.
I'll go 3-1. Why not?
What a surprise. Devante Cole, by any chance? Is this a recording? Have we been here before? Is it August?
I'm sticking with him. Goal. Ian, what do you think?
A laboured 2-0 win, Cole.
Yeah, you have to go for him. Steve, because obviously you arrived a little bit later. Have you adjusted again? Because obviously you sent us a lovely photo while you were out in Spain. Very busy.
Are you in the right time zone?
Sleeping. Have you adjusted?
They're only an hour. They're only an hour in front. So yeah. Do you know what, mate? All this rain and wind and all this sort of thing. 24 degrees, mate. Playing golf side at Med. What else do you want? Our lass kept ringing me and sending me photos of garden furniture flying about as it were, and we've got a trampoline, and I've never had a trampoline before, and it's not mine, but I'll keep it. And I just think anybody who wants to get away, just get out at country for a week in January, because it makes you feel so much better. However, I have got to say that when he come back, he's crap. It really is. Back at work today with an absolute nightmare. So yeah, it's already forgotten, but thanks very much. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. No, I've not brought your out back. Because I know that was your next question.
let's hope that the people in the East End will be warmed up with some pyrotechnics every time Barnsley score a goal on Saturday. Ian, Steve, as always, thank you very much. Let's hope for 3 points on Saturday. We will meet again next week. We will still be 5th, maybe moved up. Has goal scored? Has Styles gone? You'll find out next week. Thanks for listening to the Reds Report.